So Meg, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you here. So Megan graduated from the College of Business in 2017 with a concentration in marketing, and just a few short years later has already made a name for herself in the music industry. She recently joined Monument Records as Director of Regional Promotion. And prior to this recent promotion, she was at Universal Music Group, where she worked on the Capitol Nashville promotion team with big artists such as Carrie Underwood, Luke Bryan, Keith Urban, and more. And before that, Megan also worked for Live in the Vineyard, which is where she planned unique food, music, and wine festivals. So talk about the best of both worlds. Meg's journey from CSU to where she is now is just so fun, and I'm excited to have her here today to share her passion that has paved the way for a successful career within the industry. So Meg, we graduated in 2017. That was so long ago, it seems like, but also just went by in the blink of an eye. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and a bit of the road that got to you to where you are currently in Nashville?
Yeah, of course. Well, hi, everyone. I'm so excited to connect with you all today. Thanks, Patty, for inviting me to do this. I'm just so excited. So thank you all. And if you guys have any questions, please just feel free to ask me anything and everything. So, but to start off, I mean, Patty gave like a great synopsis of my life so far. So I appreciate that. But basically, yeah, I was born and raised in Colorado. And so I decided to stay in state for college and go into the business school at Colorado State. And that's where I met Patty. And that was a decision that I made. It was tough because I really wanted to study music business, but at the time there wasn't a program like this. So I'm so jealous of you guys that you have this program. It's so amazing because at the time when I was applying for colleges, like I knew I wanted to work in the music business. In Nashville, there's a music business school called Belmont. And so I got accepted there as well as at CSU. And I decided to stay in state and just study business. And because I was on the dance team at CSU and joined a sorority and stuff. And that's some things that Belmont didn't have to offer. And so just had to weigh that. But I knew like getting a business degree was going to be what was best for my career. And so decided to stay in state, go to CSU, absolutely loved it, loved being in the business school. And while I was in college, I guess I decided around like age 16, I was like, I'm going to go for the music business thing. Music industry, like I have to work in the music business in some capacity. I didn't really know what exactly how that road would look and where it would take me, but I just knew I had to be in it. I couldn't sing or play an instrument, so like the business side it is. And so coming to CSU, it taught me, the whole business world. And when I was in college the summer before my senior year, I had an internship in New York City as a marketing intern for Atlantic Records. And so kind of got a taste of how the record label world looks, and I loved it. And so I knew like my heart was in country music and I really wanted to end up in Nashville one day. And so I loved New York City so much, but ended up, finishing out college, graduating in 2017. And then from there, I accepted a job with KYGO, which is the country radio station in Denver, and which I'm sure some of you all have listened to before, but I was a promotions assistant there for about 6 months and then accepted another job with Live in the Vineyard and helped produce these music, food, and wine festivals that were based in Napa Valley. So that was really cool. And then when COVID hit, all events ended, as you all know, and I was furloughed from my job. And so I had to take a step back and figure out like what I wanted to do next. And I was like, okay, now's my time to connect with anybody and everybody I know in this industry and try to get out to Nashville. And so from there, I finally found a job at Universal Music Group. And so I was the promotions coordinator for Capitol Nashville for a little over 2 years. And then just a month ago, I accepted this new job with Monument Records as a director of promotion. So that's kind of like a brief overview of my world.
Awesome. You have had a windy road and excited to dive in a little bit more into some of these experiences. So Meg, can you just start with, what does director of promotion, regional promotion even mean? Can you give us a day in the life currently in Nashville?
Yeah, of course. So, as a director of promotion, I guess I should start by saying the promotions department at a record label focuses primarily on radio and how we can promote all of our artists' singles to country radio. How can we get the max amount of airplay, and the overall goal is to get our singles to reach #1 on those charts, on the Media-Based and Billboard charts. So that's the main goal in our job, is to get our artists played on country radio, come up with creative new ideas on how to promote the record. And a lot of it, I guess a day in the life would be my territory. There's 3 of us regional promotion, and my territory is the West. So I cover all the radio stations, basically like Colorado, Kansas, over to California.
Wow.
So I call in about 50 radio stations, and I would say a huge part of this job is relationship based, managing all the relationships, all the different personalities with all the program directors and music directors at the radio stations who program the radio playlists and all that. And so it's a little bit more of a sales job, I would say, in the industry, because you're going out to visit these stations with the artists, and you're wining and dining them. You're giving them all the data and info and trying to pitch this single. Hey, you should add this record to your station because of XYZ. And so it's a little more of a sales-based role.
Yeah.
I have my territory, and it's a lot of traveling. So it's really cool because anytime any of my artists have a show in any of my markets, I get to go with them and bring the radio station out to the shows and introduce them to the artists if they don't already know them, and just get to hang with the artists, get to go to the show together. And so it's a lot of relationships and managing all of that and traveling. And then another part of the job that a lot of other record labels aren't doing or at least their promotions department isn't doing right now, that we get to do, is brand partnerships. So what that means is any brand or company in our market, in my market, so any brand based in the West, I can reach out to try to partner and work together to find ways in how basically we can make money essentially and work together. So for example, we have a Red Rock show coming up on May 5th. So if any of you guys are going, let me know. I'd love to meet you. But Walker Hayes, one of our artists, Walker Hayes, is playing Red Rocks May 5th. And so I'm inviting all the radio stations in Colorado to come out to it, to hang with Walker before the show and enjoy the show. And then also I'll invite basically reaching out to any and every brand and company based in Colorado, more of the Denver area. And just saying hey, do you want to come to the show and, meet Walker, and let's find a way that we can work together. And that could be anything from the Denver Broncos to Crocs to Coors, Molson Coors. It could be any brand. So that's a cool thing, but that's just a snippet of my job, my day to day.
What an all over the place. So are you mostly, do you go into the office? Are you virtual, other than obviously when you're traveling? What does that look like?
So right now, Monument Records is trying to find an office. Their lease just ended a couple months ago. And so they're trying to find a new office, probably on Music Row. And so we'll hopefully get in there in a couple months, but we're full remote right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have some flexibility. What a job. So Meg, let's go back to right after college. You said, or I guess in college as well, you were an intern in New York City. How did you go about that? How did you land that? What did that look like for that first internship, and then that first role out of school as well? What was that career search look like for you?
Yeah. So basically, I was working at a country club in my hometown, and I was a server. And basically was just telling anybody and everybody, like they all ask like, what do you want to do when you graduate and all that? And I'm like, I want to be in the music business. And at that point I didn't have a single connection in the music industry. Like I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was telling everybody I'm going to be in the music business. And they're like, oh, you have to meet this woman, Bobby Jacobs. Everyone was like, you have to meet her. So I finally met her. She wrote her name and number down on my serving pad. And then later in that summer, she brought a guest out for their member guest golf tournament. And he was the president of Atlantic Records. And so it just happened. I happened to meet the right people. But that being said, you never know who you could be talking to. You never know. Just make connections, as many as you can. Just talk to anybody and everybody, because ask them to go to coffee. Because when I met Bobby, I was like, hey, I want to work in the music business. Can I pick your brain? Can I learn from you? Do you have any job openings? I graduate in a year and I would love the opportunity, and just like building those connections. And then she introduced me to Mike Easterlin, who I ended up interning for in New York. So it just takes one connection and you just never know where that could lead. So I ended up getting that internship through, from Mike, who I met at a country club. You just like truly never know where you're going to meet these people. So just talk to anyone and everyone you can. And if you even have one connection, just maybe they can put you in touch with somebody else who can like help you reach your goals. And so that's how I got that internship. And then from there, I got the KYGO job right after I graduated, because a girl that went to my high school, and actually she went to CSU as well. And she was working at KYGO. And so I reached out to her, and I would say take any opportunity you can, because you never know where it's going to lead you. Reach out to anyone that you happen to know in the music business, if that's the path you want to go down. And so I reached out to her, and she was like, yep, we're hiring a promotions assistant. And then that's how I got that job. And yeah, so I would say biggest thing is just network as much as you can. And because that truly, all the relationships I've made is how I've gotten every single job. So
amazing. That kind of leads me into my next question that I had for you. So, when you were live in the vineyard, the pandemic hit, everything shut down, and you said you were going about building your network and building those relationships. Did you have any mentors or role models that have gotten you to where you are? I mean, obviously it all started kind of with a server writing something on the pad, it sounds like, but do you have any advice for students that are maybe looking to get into this industry, how they can go about that?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say my biggest thing is networking and building those connections. And so when, like what Patty was saying, when COVID hit and I lost my job, I looked to my whole network. Like I reached out to every single person. I was emailing them, like cold emailing, like, hey, I would love to set up an informational call with you. Do you have some time this week to like hop on a call with me? It could be a call or Zoom if they don't live in the same state. If they live nearby, like ask them to grab coffee, like really do anything you can to connect with these people, because what I've learned in this industry is everyone's willing to help each other. It's really awesome, especially in Nashville, but really this whole industry, like everyone knows it's such a relationship connection based industry. And so everyone loves networking here. And so honestly, just reach out to anybody and just don't be afraid to reach out to people, because it might feel uncomfortable. There was times where I was like, I've only met this person for 30 seconds, or I haven't met this person at all, but just take the chance and email them, reach out to them on LinkedIn or anything, and just ask them for an informational call and just ask to hear their story, pick their brains, ask if they have any advice for you, and just build that connection. And then from there, maybe be like, hey, is there anyone else that you could put me in touch with that you think I should talk to? And then it just goes from there. And so that's what I did when I was furloughed and trying to get a job in Nashville. Reach out to as many people as I could, and one of the women I talked to, I had only met her briefly a couple of times, and she was so kind to take my call, and she gave me amazing advice. And I'll tell you all this, but if you're ever connecting with somebody and trying to get a job somewhere, definitely, as you all know, like it's important to stay persistent and be ambitious and stuff. And she told me one thing to like stand out, that you all can do is if you're trying to get a job somewhere, at a specific company, just learn, make sure you know like exactly what they do, what they're looking for. And instead of just following up, or when you follow up with them, come up with a list of ideas and like marketing idea. If you're trying to get into marketing, come up with some marketing ideas and like, hey, I know you have X, Y, and Z artists. I came up with these ideas, and that will set you apart. And like, I don't know, it'll just make you stand out. And I took that and ran with it. So when I was networking and doing all these informational calls, I'd follow up like probably every couple weeks, and I'd send my ideas of what I had and like, hey, here's some marketing promotion ideas I had for your artists. And you know, it might take months for them to get back to you or anything, but it will pay off, and it paid off for me. Then I end up getting a job at Capitol Records. So that's a huge thing that will like set you apart from somebody else. And so now she's one of my mentors, and she's the SVP of a record label here in town. And I look up to her, and that advice like really helped get me to where I am. And she was like, be bold, like be a go-getter. Don't be afraid to, you know, just say yes to everything, like every opportunity that comes your way, because you never know where it might lead you.
You never know. That is excellent advice. Thank you for sharing that from her.
Yeah.
And yes, students, I know it can feel intimidating sometimes. You know, there might be Business 100 students that is their first semester here in the college on the call. There could be graduate students, you know, the CMC, we can help. We have a flash mentoring program that is all about connecting and networking, informational interview style as well. So
Oh, awesome.
let us know. Meg, can you share any memorable highlights or moments from your career journey in this industry that have been particularly meaningful or impactful?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like ever since I moved to Nashville a couple years ago, I've had so many pinch me moments.
Yeah.
One that stands out is getting to work with Carrie Underwood, and when she released her new album, her last album, Denim and Rhinestones, I mean, she invited the whole team into her studio to listen to it before anybody else. And she was like, hey, I want you all to hear this. And it was my first experience, like being in a recording studio and just like sitting next to Carrie Underwood, and we're all in like my CEO, and just getting to hear this music for the first time. And then everyone after listening through it, just brainstorming all these ideas of how we can promote it and market it. And it was just really cool. It was really, really cool. And like the same thing happened with Dirk Bentley with his new album that came out recently. And just getting to connect with these artists that I've grown up listening to, that's been like super memorable and just really unreal experience for me, to get to do and just have a small part in their career. Is crazy to me. Like I'll never get over that feeling. And then also just working alongside these up and coming artists too that I get to work with on the label now. Like we have a girl duo named Tiger Lily Gold, and they just released their first debut single to country radio, and it's just awesome. It's so cool to get to work with an artist from the ground up and to hopefully watch them succeed and their career build like from the very beginning. So it's just really cool. I would say it's super memorable to have like some part of an impact on an artist's career, because that's my passion. I just want to help their careers grow. And just making, honestly, but beyond that, it's just the people I've met in this industry, like my coworkers. And Mike Dungan was the CEO of Universal Music Nashville, and he's a huge mentor and role model to me, and getting to work with people like that is huge for me. So those are just a couple things.
I can only imagine your list of pinch me moments. That is so cool. Talk about a unique position to be in. You're still in marketing, you're still in a sales kind of role, but within a really cool industry. And I know a lot of students are like, I don't want a sales job. But if you're getting to sit next to Carrie Underwood,
Right.
maybe it's a little different.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
So opening your eyes to more industries. So that's really fun. Thanks, Meg.
Yeah, definitely.
Students, I know we're running out of time here. We'll have about 10 minutes left. So if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, pop them in the chat. But if and while you're thinking of those, Meg, looking back, were there any particular projects or professors or anything here from the College of Business that you feel were valuable in helping to get you where you are?
Definitely. I would say the biggest project that sticks out to me is the marketing capstone senior year, where you get to create a business from the ground up and work in a team to create an entire company and create a marketing plan around that and really figure out how you're going to make a profit from this business. And because in the real world, I know it's so cliche to say, but you're going to be working in a team for the rest of your career. Like you just are. You're going to have to collaborate and work on a team. So especially in the music business, if that's the path you're trying to go down, I think while group projects sometimes might not be everybody's favorite, but that really is how it is in the real world. Like you're always going to work in group projects and collaborate and come up with different ideas on how you can be successful in your career and at the job you're doing. So I would say really every group project in hindsight really, really helped me. It was super valuable to what I'm doing now, and especially that marketing capstone second semester of senior year. I feel like that one was huge.
Yes, that was a great class.
Yeah.
Okay, Meg, a couple of them have come through the chat here. So Aiden says, would you recommend New York City? I've considered an internship there.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Do it. It's the best. Absolutely. I know it can be a little intimidating and scary living in a new city, and especially New York City because it's massive. But it is totally worth it. It's good to get out of your comfort zone too every now and then. Like if it makes you uncomfortable, it probably means you're growing and learning. So I would say absolutely do it. It was the best experience for me. Yeah.
Yeah, quite the transition from Fort Collins.
Yes.
Meg, we have another Megan here that has asked a question as well. It says, what was your adjustment like when moving from Colorado to Nashville?
Yeah, that was huge because, when you do an internship in a different city, it's going to end and you're going to come home in 3 months. And so, you try to you make the most out of it because you're like, oh, I'm only here for 3 months and then I go back home. Like I can make it through. But I had never moved away to and I'm sure a lot of you moved to Fort Collins from another state. So you kind of understand like moving away from home, but I had never done that before. So it's been great, absolutely amazing. That also comes with its challenges of just being away from family and friends and the mountains. I miss the mountains. But ultimately, like it has been my dream since I was 16 to live here. And I absolutely am obsessed with it. So I would say if you want to come to Nashville, you should do it. we can hang out because it's such a fun city. There's so much history and culture here, and live music every single second of every single day. You can see live music. There's nowhere like it. It's so awesome. So if you like live music, and not even country, they have obviously country, but there's so many other genres that are blowing up here in town. So it has a lot to offer.
Love it. Hit Meg up, get some coffee, pick her brain.
Yes.
Meg, we have a couple more coming through the chat here. It's from Morgan. You mentioned a bit of the short-term impact of COVID on the industry. Do you still see any long-term impacts in your work?
Oh, that's a great question. Long-term impacts, I mean, it has really changed the game of working remotely, which has been huge. I mean, my last job at Universal, we were in the office 3 days a week and then remote 2 days a week. I feel like that has been so good for me. And I feel like most people too, just knowing, learning that you can get your job done, or in this case, like in this industry, you really can get your job done remotely from home. Or if you have to go to another state and you have your computer, you can still get your job done. I feel like that is something that has really changed the industry, is that COVID has changed, is working remote. And we're definitely still seeing that as I'm working from my apartment right now. So that's huge. But as far as, man, I mean, there's so much like ticketing. I feel like artists weren't touring for a long time because of COVID, and now everybody's out there touring again, which is really, really exciting. But, that just means everyone's trying to make more money and ticket prices are higher and the demand for it. So definitely I see it still in so many different areas. There's a lot to it, but that's just a couple things that I've seen that COVID has still affected it.
Yeah, some good insight there. So Ava, since you worked in the radio business, have you seen a decline in listeners because of Spotify or Apple Music, or do you work with those companies to help artists as well?
So that's a great question as well. At every record label, there's typically a group of people that work in promotions that focuses on country radio. And then there's a team and a department that works with the DSPs, the digital streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, all that. So I don't work with those DSPs. I don't work in streaming, but that is definitely a huge part of this industry. If not the biggest right now. It has been blowing up and continuing to grow like crazy. I feel like radio listeners have declined a little bit because of that, with more people streaming for sure. But radio is still the largest media outlet to get your music out there. It still is millions and millions of listeners every single day.
Yeah.
So it is still the biggest market for getting your music out there. And the thing is anyone can put their music out on a streaming service, but not every artist can have a single at country radio. And so it's still really important in an artist's career. You can definitely still be successful without country radio, but it can help immensely if you have your song on country radio. It's more, I would say country radio is more important than pop radio is right now. Like, I feel like pop is kind of years ahead and they're seeing radio decline a little bit, but in the country world, it's still so important. But streaming is massive, and that's how a lot of the labels make their money. So yes, that's all important.
Awesome. I know we are at 12:30 here, so these are meant to stay short, quick, but Meg, we have a couple more. Michael said, I'm moving to Nashville next year and I am a producer / composer more on the rap side. Does Nashville truly have every genre of music?
Ooh, that is so exciting. Well, we'll have to connect when you get to town. I'm really excited for you. I would say yes, they definitely do. And being so close to Atlanta, Atlanta has a huge rap and hip hop scene, and we're just a few hour drive from there. So I know a lot of people do come up to collaborate in Nashville and work on their music in Nashville, and literally all genres, because Nashville at the core of this town is songwriting and producing as well. And so I know a lot of artists and songwriters come here to write and collaborate. And so, yes, you will find a good spot here for you, I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, congrats, Michael. I'm excited for you as well. And Meg, one final one through the chat here, which also leads me to my last question as well. From Courtney, what's the best way to go about connecting with you and getting more insight and advice on the music industry outside of this Zoom call?
Yes, please connect with me. I would love to meet all of you guys. I don't know, Patty, should I just send you, put my email in there in the chat?
you want students to connect with you over email, we can do that, or we can share your LinkedIn. Students find Megan on LinkedIn, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, honestly, I'll just give you my email. But also you can hit me up on LinkedIn too, but email is totally fine.
That is an amazing connection, students. Thank you so much, Megan, for taking the time to do that and share your network and helping these students find their place if in the music industry. Yeah, appreciate it. So,
Of course, like honestly, I'm here to help and answer any questions you guys have, like, because that's how I got this far in my career. So I want to pay it forward and help you all because I know that's huge and it's such a connection based industry. So please reach out if you want to connect more. I just threw my email in the chat.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Meg, for that. Students definitely take advantage of that. Meg, we have other amazing alumni that are within the industry. You know, we have a music business program here in the College of Business that has just recently started a few years ago. It's headed up by Chuck Morris. You know, you really could not get a better team to be able to teach decades in the industry. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out our music business program. But thank you again for all being here. I know it's a little after 12:30, so we'll go ahead and wrap up, but we have only one more of these Tuesday alumni talks next week. So that ends it for the semester. So we hope to see you next week. We'll be talking about the business in medicine. So we need business people to run hospitals and medical practices and stuff like that. And we have an alumni that has done that. So thank you, Meg, for sharing your insight on the music industry, and we will talk to you soon. You're getting a bunch of thank
you
yous
so
through the chat.
much. Bye.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna go ahead and